Karen Donovan is Senior Manager, Customer Data Platform Program at Stellantis. And Tom Treanor is the Chief Marketing Officer at Treasure Data. And they're going to be taking us through and discussing how unified customer data fuels customer retention and revenue growth. So welcome.
So I'll give a quick introduction. So my name is Tom Treanor. I'm the CMO of Treasure Data, and we provide the leading customer data platform for enterprises who need to manage customer data at massive scale to create that single customer view that can be used by marketing, sales, customer service, and other organizations to create a more seamless customer journey. So I'm so happy to welcome Karen Donovan from Stellantis to speak. So Karen, do you want to talk a little bit about your role in the company?
Sure. Thanks, Tom, and thanks for inviting me. So I head up our customer data platform program here at Stellantis. And for those of you who don't know who Stellantis is, we are the former Fiat Chrysler organization and Peugeot organizations, or PSA, that came together earlier this year. So we have 14 brands. In the US, it's certainly Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Fiat, Alfa Romeo, Maserati, maybe some names that you know. I've been with Stellantis, probably 20 years when I consider my agency time, and really have operated always in a role about bringing data together and driving intelligence, and now with our Treasure Data CDP, how we can use that to drive customer experiences.
Well, great. That's exciting. So tell us more about your organization within Stellantis and what are the kinds of things your team works on?
Yeah, so I sit within the North America region, and I work in a group called Media, Consumers, and Analytics. And in the consumer pillar, we're always thinking about what is that customer experience we want to drive, what intelligence do we have about our customers, how can we apply that? And so we work very closely with our IT group. In fact, I call us one team, because it doesn't matter where we report up to, we operate as one team. And we've been working on use cases that, fit within marketing, fit within after sales. We like to think of the entire customer journey and all the different opportunities we have to interact with that customer, and how we can bring data and intelligence to life as we develop those experiences.
Thank you. And you recently implemented our customer data platform, as you mentioned. What triggered the selection of a CDP?
So it all really started about 3 years ago. Our chief operating officer wanted to reinvigorate our thinking around customer centricity. And we realized that we have no shortage of data. We have data all over the place in silos, in different systems. And we knew that to really drive the customer-centric experiences we wanted to develop, we needed to bring that data together. And so we thought about we could build this in-house, and then we looked at the platforms, and obviously we chose Treasure Data and looked at how they would really help us to move quickly, to really bring data together and to start to drive value. And we like to think about the whole value chain. Certainly as the OEM, we have a lot of interactions with our customers, but so do our dealers, and so do our partners along the way. And so it was really important to us that we think holistically about that data and bring it all together, and really to help drive the intelligence that we knew we could get from that.
Oh, that's great. And then what are some of the major use cases that you're rolling out? And are you utilizing a lot of predictive capabilities?
Yeah, so we launched last May, and my hat's off to the Stellantis team. As the pandemic hit, we had just started our implementation of Treasure Data. So it's been about 18 months. We've launched over 25 different use cases. They've spanned from media use cases where we've developed seed audiences out of the CDP to help our media team target, do more micro segmentation. We've done use cases to drive lead generation. So in the automotive world, a lot of what we try to do is get our customers aware of our product, but get them in touch with the dealer to foster that relationship and service their customer and service needs. So a lot of use cases around helping getting those leads the right information that they need to make that vehicle purchase decision. We've also thought of the after sales part of the customer experience and really engaging with our customers to establish that relationship with dealers for their service and maintenance needs. So really driving the right message there about what services are needed, what maintenance is needed on your vehicle. And then certainly thinking about when customers return to market, how do we go to market to bring them back into the purchase process? So in our 18 months, we've developed over 9 classes of machine learning models, everything from helping us to understand who is truly in market to buy. What are they likely to buy? Which one of our nameplates, all the way down to which VIN on a dealer's inventory. And then from the service standpoint, we looked at, well, what services not only does the customer need, but what are they most likely to respond to in terms of an offer, so that we could get them, the right offer that aligns with how they use our dealers for service. So a lot of data science activity. It's been a core part of our program to always bring that to bear as we develop our use cases.
Yeah, it sounds like it's really able to pull the kind of marketing and sales and service functions closer together through having a CDP.
For sure. The last panel was talking about breaking down silos and cross-functional. I think one of the things that we did from the onset was really put together a cross-functional team from both the leadership standpoint, who makes up our steering committee, but also in our working team, so that we weren't too focused on any one area, but we were thinking about all of that. And I think with that approach, it helped us to think broader than any one area of the customer journey.
Oh, that's great. So if we bring it up a level, how do you see the interaction between automotive companies and their customers evolving over time? And how do you see CDPs or other technologies supporting this change?
Yeah, so I think everyone in the last, year and a half has been thinking about their digital footprint and how they can support the customer when in-person transactions were challenging. We're no different in that regard. A lot of emphasis has been placed on fostering that digital experience, but we don't ever want to lose sight of the fact that our dealers are an important part of the relationship we all have with our customers. So we're working on how do we bring that right experience forward, but also how do we nurture that experience with the dealers. So I think technology has really enabled us to do a lot of things. And certainly what we're doing in our digital retailing side of things is one of them. Certainly the CDP helps us to then understand how best to go to market for you versus me, which is, one of the key points for us in deciding upon bringing a CDP in.
Okay, that was helpful. How has having a CDP changed how you're able to work, and what other capabilities has it opened up for you?
So I think one of the, the first things was we were able to bring together data that lived so separately for so long. It was amazing how fast we could do that. And it opened up the ability to really get greater insights about our customers. It took us certainly some time to bring the data in, but when it came time to do the analysis, the data was there. We didn't have to go looking for something. And so our ability to really mine that data, identify new insights, really helped us to be quicker to market. We even put together these cross-functional teams so we could identify something and launch something very quickly. Our goal is to identify use cases and launch within 3 months. Also that we can have a test and learn approach and a speed to market approach. So, one of our use cases that we launched is really changing the amount of dynamic content we have within some of our communications when a customer is returning to market. And we did that by, the models that we built that help us to understand, who we should be targeting, but what we should be targeting them with. And we're using the CDP to generate an audience and differentiate treatment. We've got this one program where we have over 1,000 variations in what the messaging will be. Certainly it takes a good marketing activation tool to do that as well, but to have the data and to be able to segment and determine who should get what is something that we can do so quickly with the CDP that it's exciting to see just how far we can take things. And so far we haven't hit a limit. It's just what makes sense to do as we think about those communications and those experiences we're trying to develop.
Yeah, that really speaks to centralizing that data at such massive scale. Actually took a little time in the beginning, but it really helps you speed up a lot of the activities you can do, rapid testing, etc. That's really exciting.
Yeah, we're excited about what we've been able to accomplish in such a short amount of time. I think when we started this journey, if someone had said, 18 months later, you're going to be at over 25 use cases and you're going to do things like this, I think we might have been skeptical. But what we've been able to achieve with the platform, with our data, with our awesome data science and data engineering team has just been phenomenal.
And speaking of the different teams, how maybe it's changed over since the implementation to kind of more steady state, but what teams do you work with and how is each involved in the CDP project?
So when we set out on this, we identified up front that we wanted a central team that kind of fosters the development of these use cases. And that's the team I directly manage. But we interact directly with our sales organization, with our marketing organization, our after sales, our customer experience, even our dealers. We're talking about how can we develop these use cases that bring value to the organization, but also value to the customer. And so we adopted some new ways of working. We've adopted agile methods, which, I know a lot of people do that, but it really helped us to focus on develop an idea, build on that idea, test, learn, scale, and so forth. And so we have all areas of our commercial organization represented in our use case planning and our steering committee. So it's great that we have so many stakeholders who are so interested in what we're doing and what we can do.
Through implementing the CDP, how has that impacted the visibility that you have into the customer journey?
Oh, it's helped tremendously. I mean, we certainly, one of the big benefits for us was tying together our offline and our online experiences through our unification. And so, just understanding more about what is the customer really doing? Are they, behaviors in the past that we thought were clear signals that this person was ready to purchase? We're now able to understand them better. We're able to better understand that what someone is doing online and what they're doing offline and how that tells the whole complete story. And it certainly helps us to understand why people are or are not engaging in certain ways so that we can adjust how we interact with them as well.
Great. And then are there other strategic projects that the CDP implementation can support?
Well, I think, our first set of use cases had a lot to do with marketing. And that was a bit by design so that we could realize value very quickly, which we were able to do. But I think the big part for us as we are doing our planning for 2022 is looking at those customer experience use cases. So thinking about every point within our relationship or the dealer's relationship with the customer, how can we make that interaction that much more meaningful, more insightful? We're working a lot with our dealer body to get them the information they need to be understand the customer, not just what they know about the customer, but what we know. I mean, I think anyone who shops online and then works with a retail store would love for that retail store to know, yes, I submitted this lead on this vehicle. Please speak to me about that. And so we want to help the dealers have all the information they could use. So I think that's a big project for us, as well as developing more and more ways that the customer can tell us what they prefer, what kind of content would they like to see. That way, we can serve up what is meaningful to them and not just, the messaging that we've been developing that we think is very relevant, but truly understand what the customers are looking to get from us.
Right. So it sounds like a more meaningful and personalized conversation with that prospective customer, or current customer.
For sure.
And then we talked a little bit about the timeline to 25 use cases, but how quickly were you seeing value in the beginning? Like, were there some pieces of value that came out right away, or how did that feel?
So we spent some time before we stood up the CDP to hone in on 3 use cases, 2 of which we launched May of 2020. And they were aimed at driving quick value. And we realized about 2 months into it that one of them, we hit a home run. We were seeing value right away. The other one, I would say we got on base, not quite as great as we wanted it to be. So in true agile fashion, we went back and we looked at, how it was performing, what was driving that performance, and made some modifications, and then started seeing some real value shortly thereafter. We certainly exceeded the goal that our COO set out for us in our first year of operation. We doubled the value that he had targeted for us to reach. So great news when you're launching a new platform and you can realize value right away and exceed expectations. Certainly raised the bar for us going into 2021, but we're still seeing value in the use cases we're launching.
Well, that's always great to have a home run on one of your first use cases. And then how quickly would you say those first 3 use cases came out? And then how did the TD team or Treasure Data team, what role did they play in helping you with those?
Yeah, so we launched them all within 3 months. And so when we contracted with Treasure Data to do the implementation, we also contracted with Treasure Data Professional Services to help us. We had already done a lot of vetting of the use cases prior to that to understand how it was going to bring value. But the Treasure Data team was instrumental in helping us to set up those first use cases. It was a bit of learn as we go and watch them as they helped us bring the data in and get those use cases set up so that our team could take those over after our 3-month implementation timeline. So in 3 months, we stood the platform up, brought the data in, launched 3 use cases, did the knowledge transfer, And we continue to engage with the professional services team. They've been great, but we became self-sufficient pretty quickly.
That's great. 3 months, 1 home run, one base hit, probably another base hit. So, hey, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Karen. So we're going to wrap up now, and I'm going to bring Matt back on stage for Q&A.
Great.
Thanks, Tom and Karen. We are just about out of time. Let me just sneak one quick question in.
Okay.
Karen, there were a couple of questions related to challenges that you faced. And one of them was specifically around managing the quality of all the data you're receiving from the many disparate sources. Can you talk at all about that in the time we have left?
Sure. Well, I'll try. It's a big topic, right? So one of the things we do is we always partner with the source provider of the data, right? We're bringing other people's data together, and we really get from them an understanding of the fidelity of the data. How do they monitor it? How do they check it? We have some things we've built in our workflows when we load the data to make sure there are no surprises in the data. But I think the biggest part of this is just our partnership with those who gather the data in the first place, to make sure we understand the fidelity, and we help bring things to light if we identify anything.
That's great. Well, listen, Karen and Tom, thank you so much. Karen, it's so valuable to hear about your team's experience, in implementing and utilizing a CDP. And so we greatly appreciate you for pulling back the curtain for our audience today.
Yeah,
Well,
thank you so much, Karen.
Thank you for having me.